Hey friends, I'm Leighton Hart from Market Street Media, and welcome to our podcast course. Yes, that's right, I said course. What we're going to do with you over the next handful of videos is we're going to take you from not having a podcast to being a real, live, published podcaster. What you're going to see next are some recordings I did a while back that clear the mental hurdles that keep a lot of people from starting their podcast. And then what you'll see is I will put a nice big box on the screen that tells you exactly where to click so that we can dive in and start getting our hands dirty making your podcast. Our very first step into the course is going to be to tackle some of the philosophical stuff first. Now, you didn't come here for a philosophy class, but doing the practical parts of it, like the step-by-step pieces of creating your podcast, it's going to be a whole lot easier if we can get some of the obstacles out of the way, some of the mental obstacles out of the way. So let's walk through those really quickly. It's all listed for you down here in the text if you prefer to absorb stuff by reading. Read that. You need to read it anyway, but I'll walk you through some of the stuff that the lesson is about here in this video. So a few things, about 5 things that tend to be obstacles for people that don't have to be. So let's walk through those. Number 1 would be time. So it's easy to think that podcasting can be very, very time consuming in almost an limiting way, like so time consuming that you can't find time to do it. So let's tackle that one right away. Podcasting can take as much time as you want, as you want to give it, and more. It's one of those things where you can do all kinds of things with podcasting because number 1, you can spend a lot of time recording your episodes. That can be time consuming. Number 2, you can spend a lot of time tightening up and editing your episodes, and we'll show you how to do that here. You can spend a lot of time promoting your episodes and tracking down guests and things like that, trying to find sponsors. You can do all those things. You don't have to do all those things. So if you think that to get a podcast off the ground, it's going to be this huge time commitment, that's not always the case. So what we're here to do, in fact, the purpose of this course is to save you a lot of time because, I think everything in this course, if you were to sit down and do it to get your podcast off the ground, I think I did some rough math, probably 5 hours of work, assuming that you know how to do everything. What we're hoping that we can accomplish here is to save you a lot of time, like help you bypass some mistakes, because I've recently been through all this. I know what it means to screw some stuff up and make some mistakes, and it's time wasting, and it's expensive, and it's just in terms of money and time and commitment, and it's frustrating. So it doesn't have to be time consuming. In fact, we hope with this course it's going to be less time consuming than it would be than if you just tried to start from scratch on your own with no help. Number 2, technology. The technology can be intimidating because you've got mics, you walk into a studio like ours, you've got mics, boom arms, there's cords everywhere. Kind of makes me crazy. You've got a big sound mixer over there. We have a video camera in here where we stream podcast episodes. So there is a lot of technology. It's like everything else, though. It can be as big and as complicated and as complex as you want it, or it can be as simple as grabbing your phone and talking into your phone and then posting that to the internet. Like that's it. It can be as simple as simply talking into your phone and posting it to the internet. You have a podcast. So the technology doesn't have to intimidate you. Again, we're here to help kind of make it easier for you. So don't let that be a huge thing for you. It doesn't have to be intimidating. Number 3, money. It's, again, tempting to look around, see all the equipment and think, this is going to cost a lot of money to get my podcast started. I need mics and wires and probably software. And do I need a mixing board and video? Is that a thing? Do I need all these paid services online to get this out? It doesn't have to be that way. You can start your podcast for $0.00, and it's possible that your podcast will never cost you a dime. So don't sweat the money piece. And number 4, it's early and I'm just getting caffeinated today. So number 4 would be, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So you may have an idea that you're passionate about or something you're really interested in or something you know a lot about that you want to share with the world, and you have that desire in you that you just feel like you want to burst because you have something inside of you to share and you're fired up to start a podcast, but you don't know exactly what you're going to say. Like when you click record, you don't know exactly the words that are going to come out of your mouth. And to be honest, like when I clicked record on this video, I didn't know the exact words that were going to come out of my mouth, but I knew the things I need to cover. There's 5 things I need to cover, and we're in the 4th one now. We've got 1 more to come, but you can just start and with a brief outline and see where it takes you. And once you tap into what you know and what you're passionate about and what you want to share, the issue of what to talk about is not going to be an issue. So read the lesson down below for more about that. Don't sweat it. And the last one is thinking you need permission. Like a lot of us think that to get something started, especially something that you're going to share with the world that could be kind of public, you need somebody's permission. Like you need your wife or your husband or partner to sign off and say, hey, that's a great idea. You should do that. Commit to it and devote your time to it. It's good to have them on board. Let's be clear about that. But some of us think we need a coworker or a business partner or a boss or somebody to sign off on us using what we know and sharing it with the world. And it's just not true. We don't need anybody to pick us. We pick ourselves. We choose ourselves and say, this is something that I want to do. I'm excited about. I want to give it a shot, and I'm going to go for it. So you don't need permission. There's no gatekeeper. You can start your podcast right now without asking a soul. So there you go. 5 things that typically get in our heads and hold us back from taking the other steps, like the practical steps that we're going to talk about in this course. So we get hung up on time. We get hung up on technology. We're worried about it costing a lot of money. We worry that we don't know what we're going to say or talk about, and we feel like we need permission. Read the lesson down below and take it all in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Okay, so the other thing we need to do before we get too far into the practical steps of starting your podcast, we're almost there, I promise you, but we want to be very clear about why you're starting your podcast. And I've written out a lesson for you on why the why is important, but let me just walk you through it here. So podcasting to me, and I'll bet it's going to be this way for you, is just mountains of fun. It's so much fun. Like if I could do this all day, every day, I'd be a happy, happy man. And I am a happy man because I get to be around podcasts all day. So it's fantastic. But like the perfect day would be, hey, I'm going to record a podcast. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to hang out with my family. That's like the perfect day. Podcasting is in the mix of the things that I absolutely love to do and could give infinite time to. But the flip side of that is there are moments where you can get a few episodes into your podcast or kind of hit a dry spell or a dip and just go, well, this isn't working the way I thought it would. Like I thought that episode was going to be a hit and really not a lot of people have listened to it. When you know why you're starting your podcast, you can, or why you want to have a podcast for a long period of time, you can go back to those reasons that you started, reasons that you wanted to do this, and get yourself back on track. So my podcast, Johnson City Living, is I wanted to network with people. I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to share stories about people in the community and things going on in the community. And I wanted a creative outlet. I just wanted to be able to create something and put it out into the world regularly. So when something happens and I go, well, what if I tried this on my show? Or man, I didn't get as many people that listen to that as I thought. I can go back to those 3 reasons why I started and go, is this working? Is this matching up with why I started? And the other day I went back and I made a list of all the people who have been on my show, and I looked and I've got 33 now people who have been guests on the episode on my podcast, and I didn't know a lot of those people at the beginning of this year when I started the podcast. So all these new people that I've had a chance to have a great conversation with, just building a network of really, really cool, really nice people. And that was one of the reasons I started. So it's working. So it will help you tremendously if right now, while you're motivated to start your podcast, get crystal clear with yourself and put it on paper. In fact, we've got a PDF that attaches to this where I want you to put on paper why you're doing this. And I want you to really print that out, write it in your own handwriting, and like fold it up and keep it in your planner or keep it somewhere where you can see it often so that as you go forward, you are continue to be motivated by that energy that you have right now and that excitement that you have right now. I don't want that to go away. So let's get really clear about why you're doing this. And we will see you in the next lesson, and we're going to get started really digging in and doing things to get your podcast off the ground. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Let's keep this thing rolling. Click that box right there. It'll take you right to the next section of the course.